Split the vote.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Split the Vote. I am super excited. We are a podcast that does not care at all whatsoever about coconut etiquette. I am Tim, a Gen Z Survivor fan, and this episode is very special because I am joined by a immunity winning, idol finding Survivor 43 mother, because it's Mother's Day weekend, none other than Karla Cruz Godoy. Karla, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. What an honor. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I want to start off. How are you liking the season so far? If you're liking it at all, I know it's a little controversial, but just checking in. What's the Karla temperature on 48?
Listen, I'm a fan of any season. I think that it's really hard to I think have played the game and kind of know just like also like the back end of things and really critique a season, having been a player myself. So
Mhm.
I give props to anyone who's ever played the game. And it's I, I like it. I mean, I don't know. Like I like every season. I have no judgment on people and the way they play. Period. I don't know. I don't know the politics of what's happening on the island. I only see what's edited and put out there. So if
Yeah.
we're critiquing anyone, it's the producers. That's who we're gonna critique.
And that's fair and that's real, especially like as somebody who's been out there. And because you're somebody who's been out there, I do have a question. Is coconut etiquette real? Did y'all have that on y'all season? I forget which original beach you were on. I know
I
there's
was
some
like, oh,
beaches with like fruit, but
yeah.
coconut etiquette, is that something that's real?
Well, I'd say that like okay, so on Cocoa Beach, we had a surplus of food. Like we had so
Okay.
much food that I stopped eating voluntarily because I was like, especially cassava. I was like, I'm done eating this. I'd rather starve than continue to eat cassava.
Mhm.
Um, but I think you know what? I don't blame Mary because I would have done the same thing. And I think when we were at the Baca Beach, I forget what we were called, Gaia at Merge. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if there was an etiquette per se. I think we just split food evenly. But if I when I was at the bottom on my final days and I knew I was going to go home, I mean, I did whatever I could to try to stay, even if it meant like I mean, I didn't eat the food, but I was like, at this point, I'm not just going to sit around and wait for people to like vote my ass out. I'm gonna do what I can if it means upsetting people, if it means making people cry, if it means, like I got to
Yeah.
scrap. And so I essentially just like put my fists up and I was like, let's go. And Mary's way of doing that was eating coconuts. So I don't blame her though. If you're at the bottom, no one's looking at you, do what you got to do. It reminds me of Michaela. It reminds me of people who are just like, I'm just going to do what I can, get these people mad because my ass is going home regardless.
Yeah, and I feel like I would do the same in the same boat as Mary. Like y'all are going on rewards, and I'm over here like I'm so hungry. I could eat a Ellie Del Fiero. Like I'm feeling that kind of hunger in the game. I want to play the game. I want to win, and I also want
Mhm.
to you know find an opportunity to make it further in the game. And I'm not sure if you've seen that trend before.
Yeah. But also, like, here's the question: who is creating this etiquette? Right?
Mm,
Like, it's kind of like who creates laws or who creates rules and for whose advantage. And if there is an etiquette, like, why is it certain people that are talking about this etiquette? Yeah, I'm always
yeah.
like, what are the semantics around like how we should behave? I don't think anyone should behave anyway when you're starved on an island and kind of like forced to betray people, or at least, the whole premise of the game is like dehumanize people to for entertainment. Do what you
Mm.
got to do. You have to burn people's clothes and steal their shit. Why not? There are no rules on an island, when you're playing for $1 million.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Again, it's a game. It's a
It's
production. It's a, created environment. And I think that's an important reminder for people to be able to hear and understand, because I think sometimes people look at it only from a viewing perspective of their couch or whatever it is that they're watching it, and they're not thinking critically about it. And I think especially in our society nowadays, it's so important to keep bringing critical thinking back to the forefront. Like let's use our brains here, folks.
yes.
um in terms of what we did see in the game, Carla, last night I was a little sick, right? Like I had a dry nose, like sinuses irritated, and I'm not somebody that's normally someone who gets sick. I feel like I was sick because Eva pulled the purple rock and got a chance to get yet another advantage.
Mhm.
Advantage happened to be an advantage that you're familiar with, the knowledge is power advantage that was on your season that you made a move to shut down the possibility
Mhm.
for this like advantage changing your game. So I guess around that, like what did you think about Eva getting this chance to go on the journey and potentially bring knowledge's power back into the game?
Good question. I think that, well, a lot of things are by luck, right? So,
Mhm.
I think as a viewer, um, I was like, it's kind of okay. It's I think a good metaphor is like when the rich get richer, right? And it's just kind
Mm,
of like again, and this girl and more advantages and like at her disposal. And I think knowledge is power. It's just failed so many times, and I'm like, y'all still trying to bring it back? Like, like why? So I had different reactions for different components of it.
mhm.
I'm glad it didn't come. I mean, I'm glad it didn't come. Like, it's just we've never seen it work successfully, have we? I don't recall. I
I
haven't watched
think
it.
only in the first in 41 when no, actually,
Oh,
no. That
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that didn't work out, yeah. It was
Because
played, but
yes.
it didn't yeah, it was never successful. I think the advantage is kinda camp. It's super broken if you look at it
Uh-huh.
from, like, a strategy standpoint, but, like, it's so camp to me just because it's
Yeah,
like, okay, it's never worked, and here it is again.
we're still trying. Yeah.
Yeah, being given to the person that would have to steal it from themselves at this point, so it's pretty funny. I don't know if you'll be
Exactly.
like, "Carla, give me your shot in the dark." Like, I don't even know if they're transferable at that point.
Yeah. And I think the hard part, that viewers, I'd say casual viewers or just viewers in general, anyone who hasn't been out there, people
Mm,
don't understand the level of paranoia that comes with having multiple advantages in a game. You don't know what's out there. It's not like you have a menu of possible advantages that could be out there or not. You are
mhm,
assuming the worst. So like when we voted Geo's knowledge is power out, that left. And then when I think James found it in the well again, right? Like and then it's just kind of like you don't know when things are gone for good. So let's say
mhm,
it's fully washed, and you as a viewer know that it's fully washed, but us as players, we don't know that advantages are not back in the game, but you have the assumption that they are. So you're operating in a very cautious mindset, which oftentimes I think limits risky gameplay because when you
mhm,
throw so many random advantages into the game, it prevents you, it limits you from kind of playing wild, very risky and entertaining games. And so I think that like I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. But when you add something like this in, and granted, no one else really has advantages in the game, so it doesn't really make sense at
mm,
this point. So, but if it was someone else, I'd be clapping. I'd be like, yes, finally, maybe we could make a move. And like, well, I mean, let's talk about making moves and trying to make moves. Very I don't want here's the part with making moves. I don't want to say it's disappointing because I don't know the game mechanics that were out there, but as a viewer, you
mm.
see it as disappointing, if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
anyway, going back to advantages, it's a mess. You just don't know what's out there ever. And so you don't know how to operate. And so you're just constantly paranoid about things that are imaginary when they might not be real. But only the viewers know that. Us as players, we have no idea if there's an idol still out there or not. Um, yeah,
yeah,
it's all mind games.
yeah, that's a good point that I feel like even I didn't really consider at the forefront of my mind that like players don't know all the advantages that's out there. They don't know if somebody has a Vula idol still in the game. They don't
Mhm.
know, you know, if people unless they told them like if people play shots in the
Yeah.
dark, even the very, floor level of something that we all know that someone has at least one of in the game. It's like unless you're communicating, you don't even know that those have been played yet at this point. So it does create that aura of paranoia and that aura of like, okay, I'm gonna be a little more reserved because again, at the end of the day, as a player, you're playing for $1 million. That's life changing amount of money, and
Yeah.
yeah, you want to get to that point. So you might have to play in a way that we're seeing this season that might not be to some people the most quote unquote entertaining around
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I'd say with advantages too, I think that's why you always see, I mean, I don't want to say always, but at least in my case, you'll see random people throw the most random votes to like someone who was never in contention to like be voted out. And you're like,
Mm.
why did this person vote? I think one time I voted Owen and people were like, why did she vote Owen early in the merge? It's because I was thinking strategically that if this split vote, if people came out with different advantages, maybe one of them, like, but
Yeah.
there's no explanation of it in the episode. So some people are like, why'd she vote this way? And it's like, you don't know the little mechanics that go around when thinking about like the possibilities of maybe my alliance isn't thinking about a knowledge is power or a shot in the dark or an idol or XYZ. So let me just throw a stray that won't mess up the majority vote. But in the event that shit does go down, at least you have a stray that can get someone else out. And then people
Yeah.
just judge, right? Like, why did they vote? Why did they vote for this person? It's like you don't know. The
Listen,
work he did.
call me David because I was standing with you the whole time. I was seeing the vision. I was like, yeah, because if this goes wrong or that happens, so it definitely is something that a lot of people don't get the chance to really think about. And speaking of being in a place where you might not see everything, I'm really thinking a lot about Joe's jury management from what we are seeing, right? I know on the island itself, if you get to the very end, that's 26 days. But
Mhm,
people are always like, oh, it's not 39 days, but 26 days times 24 hours that you're
mhm,
with people, that's a lot of time for conversations. That's a
mhm,
lot of time for bonding. And so, from what we're seeing of the conversations that Joe is having, to me, it seems like I don't think Joe is doing the best at jury management right now with his
mhm,
relationship with Mary and other players, it seems.
mhm.
Mm.
Yes, 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 yes. I'd say jury management is interesting. And I'll say it's interesting in the sense that what we see, once
Mhm.
again, this is edited, right? So
Right.
there is sometimes I feel like we as viewers and even as players who now view the game but aren't out there, so like alum, but let's just speak about viewers. We see an edited version of a show that while we weren't out there filming it, production wants us to feel a certain way. And so with Joe, as a viewer, because I'm a casual viewer for the season, I see the narrative, right? He is kind of like, I don't want to say the Godfather. That sounds so James. Um, he is running the game, right? Like
Yeah.
he is the biggest threat to win. Um, he has this hero as a casual viewer, a hero image, a hero edit, that you're like, oh my God, he's gonna freaking take it. But what we
Mm.
don't see is right the the
Little
intricacies of
friendships. Yeah.
yeah. So you saw some people starting to question his paranoia, his I don't know, yeah, his jury management ish. So I'd say that we are seeing more of an edit, of a hero edit, than a breaking down like, are people really gonna right now everyone's saying he's running the game, but let's say he does get to the end, is everyone going to vote with him?
Mm.
Because we have yet to see how people feel about him, if that makes sense. We see
Yeah.
people's strategic like ideas of where he stands in the game. And so I'm so curious about how he makes people feel. And I think this episode is going to start to, I hope, paint more of a picture of, does this loyalty, honesty game really work? Because once you start bulldozing a game, I think that like, especially if you're being voted out, you're like, fuck that shit. Oh, excuse me, like, like,
Yeah. No, go for it. We're grown.
right? Like, I did not like, like I knew I was at the end and y'all didn't want to do anything, and then you let this man run it. Who knows? So And it's also, once again, not everyone's feelings are edited. So you don't know how everyone feels about everyone at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes the when you're left with the jury, you don't know how they feel unless, you stand up and you kind of show people, I stand with Mary. Then you kind of get a glimpse of like how people's reactions are. But for the most part too, though, I'm trying to remember. I think there was like one moment when I was in the jury, which was like one day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a reaction. I don't maybe actually psych no. I think I was speaking to the jury and they're like, you can't speak to the jury. And never mind. I was trying to say that maybe I did something and they were like, tone it down. You don't want to give too much. I don't remember actually. Maybe they did say something along those lines. I think there was some kind of like, you don't want to show your cards as a jury member. So kind of like trying to be blank face, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Was this like a pause, like from other jury members, or more so like a production kind of thing of like, hey
Oh,
Karla, like
more production? You think the other
okay,
players
okay.
care? Yeah, they don't care.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's super interesting because like right now, for example, like I'm teaching digital writing, content creation. And
Mhm,
so we look at all these little intricate things, and people who study Educ and look at confessional counts historically, even though that's kind of changed nowadays. But even
mhm,
simple things like music can tell a lot about how we as viewers are supposed to feel about certain players.
mhm,
And that leads to, and this is something that I wish more fans would not be so parasocial about, but some players who are real people, because of how they're being a character on the show or being portrayed as a character on the show, receive either a lot of praise, or some people might receive backlash. And again, all of that varies so often on groups of people, depending on, Stan Twitter, we have our mothers, and Facebook, Lord forbid, because I will never step willingly into Facebook, but
for real.
Facebook may have their own kind of like favorite and attack or
Yeah.
praise certain people. So it's super important to think about how all of these factors go into something. And
Mhm,
because Survivor is a show I love, that makes it even more important for us as viewers to look into. Like you can still appreciate something while still understanding something. And I think some people think that because you understand something, you can't appreciate it, when it should actually be the other way around.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, I hate to say this, but it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what these different micro communities honestly think, right? I
Yeah.
think ultimately the people who benefit from the edit are honestly never the players. It's CBS and Paramount. If you think about, right, the whole capitalist aspect of this, right? They're just making money off our likeness. And whether or not you get an emotional connection from this player or this player, and then you have fans like fighting wars on Reddit, on Twitter, on Facebook, it's great for them ultimately. It might not be great for the players and the way that they're reading about themselves on the internet, but it's good for viewership. I don't know. It's all performance.
I
Sorry,
mean, it
getting
is.
all meta.
No, this is a space too. We're big thinkers. But I guess to like
Okay, sorry.
get back to the episode. No, no,
Okay,
sorry at
yes.
all. We're like, say it for how it is. I'm thinking about this question I have for you, Karla. Would you rather have a got fun betrayal son or a unforgettable daughter?
Okay, repeat the first one.
So at the immunity challenge, they're
Yes,
spelling
yes,
with the
yes.
blocks. It's like you either
Yes.
have a got fun betrayal
Yes, yes,
son
yes, yes.
or a unforgettable daughter. Like the two options that you have.
Mm. Was it unforgettable? Yes, I'd have the unforgettable.
Unforgettable.
Yes, daughter.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So
Yes.
so
That's
S is
Carla.
because yeah. So S is because you know that Camilla ends up winning immunity. Shout out to
Mhm.
Camilla. She's like one of my favorites this season. And we see got fun betrayal and unforgettable, but I was super happy for Camilla for winning just because again, as a viewer, it's a shakeup.
Yep.
And I'm thinking about what that feeling was for her. We saw her really like speak out about
Mhm.
what that meant for her to win immunity because again, as people going on to the shows, like you're playing for so much more than yourself.
Mhm.
And this was like a chance for her to prove to so many people that might have doubted her that she
Mhm.
can do this and that she did do it.
Mhm.
So I just really love seeing her win. And I wonder that feeling of winning immunity. You know, you're someone who had that immunity win, multiple, mind you, and it's like
Mhm.
this big moment. So yeah, basically, how did you feel about Camilla winning immunity? And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it as granted, okay, so I was at a watch party.
Mhm,
Okay, I was actually with Mary. Mary had a little watch party in Philly, and it was really as a viewer, once again, as a viewer, I was like, Joe or even not win. Like you're just like, no, they cannot win because right, the whole narrative in this
mhm,
episode is that like one or the other can't. Even though we know how stacked Eva is, it doesn't matter at this point. So Joe cannot win. And so it is also right with editing, it's such a good, like, yes, finally someone else. Um, and hearing Camilla share that so many people doubted her. Honestly, it's like, really? And these are your friends? And these are the people that you're still rocking with? Because I would have been like, how dare you say that to me as I'm about to go out and try to play for $1 million? But it is, I'm trying to think. It's such a, especially when you're starving and you're in those elements and you're like, I'm going against,
mhm.
right, like these jocks and these strong people. Um, I can
Strong.
imagine for her winning, it was like it's obviously more than that. It's obviously more than proving your doubters back home in like real life, proving them wrong. But it's really just a testament to yourself that you can do it, despite being hungry, despite not sleeping well, despite having to like live in these elements. It is such a good ego boost and confidence boost that you kind of need to sustain yourself in the game, because if you're still like losing and not winning anything, I can't imagine that you're just, like you're like, how much do I have left?
Mm,
Which can be tough. You should probably ask Jesse a little bit about that.
mm.
Kidding. Okay.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, uh, I'm thinking about just bonds in in what we see on the show, and this battle that we often see between the personal and the game, where as a person, hey, like I really like you and we really bond, we really connect on so many different levels, so
Mhm,
deeply in real life, and just like the connection is there, we see each other, we understand
yeah.
each other, versus but you're somebody that I would have to take out of this game.
Mhm,
And if I'm wanting to win, I have to think about what it might look like to betray you. And so
mhm.
I'm just thinking about this conflict, this tension that pops up between the personal, because we are people,
Yes,
and
yes.
the game, because this is the reality that we're in, where only one of us can win.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will say, personally speaking, I
Mhm.
had that issue. Like, honestly, like if I look back
Yeah.
at my game, there's only one person that I was like, I fuck with you so hard that it is really hard for me to betray you. But if I have to in the last minute, I will. But more than likely, I won't, because you and I rock the same way. We have the same values. And that
Mhm.
was like me and Jesse,
Mhm.
because we're just very similar people outside of
Mhm.
Survivor. We're just like, he's someone that I probably would have found, because we both went to Berkeley. He's someone I probably would have found on campus and been like, bro, you're doing really amazing. I mean, I know he does, but he's one person that I think about, obviously in hindsight now, seeing what his point of view in the game, it's so different now. I could be like, I could betray him now. Back then, no, you can't. There's no way I could have thought that way, because
Right.
my feelings were of safety. It was of, I feel safe with this person. I feel like this is the only person I have things in common with. There's no way I can betray this person now. And I think of Kyle's whole like tension between, do I turn on the strong alliance now, or do I stay with them because I've shared things that I've never shared with anyone else? Now,
Mm,
granted, I did not share things with 5 different people, 3 different people. I was not that person. There was one person that I stood by, and shared not my deepest secrets, but just like, things that no one else really on my beach knew. Um, it's tough though, because you have to wake up. You kind of have to wake up
mm,
from that, the feeling of, I like you so much as a person, but I still have to play this game. And it's hard, I think, when you have group dynamics that make it a little bit tougher. For me, it was just one person, but that one person was kind of like the kryptonite, and like, because then I would not have made a move until like that last minute when I was like, player idol on me, and then hopefully I wanted him to, but then I would also got his ass out. That was like me finally waking up, but I knew I was going home. So anyway, you don't realize that sometimes the people that you put the most trust in and the people that you might not return on might be the same people who are going to stab you in the back. And
mm,
so it is a I don't know the metaphor, but it is a slippery slope, I'd say. But you can't think with your feelings ever out there, but you can though, because at the same time it's the only way to be safe. So I don't have any critiques on Kyle because I was there in the same way, or anyone else.
yeah.
However, now looking back, I should have done, but you can't. You can never say, now, I played things differently, because now you're doing it in a state of mind where you're fed and you're slept and you've thought about it and you see other people's points of view. But I was too blinded by my friendship.
Mm, mm. No,
That
no, that's real and that's fair. Like again, like under those conditions, like having that connection, that is safety, which is like so real.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
as we, talk a little bit more, so I know always when someone is voted out, they come back at tribal council with the jury fit, they're
Mhm.
rocking whatever it is, clothes or etc. Do they have barbers at Ponderosa? I asked this question on Twitter. They did not let me know. Like, are players cutting each other's hair? Like, how are like? Because
Actually,
I swear, Karla, I've seen a player come back with like a fresh haircut, a fresh bob, and I'm like, they have to have somebody there that's cutting hair, unless they're just like going willy nilly on each other's hair. I'm
that's a
thinking,
good
right?
question, and I'll give you some insider that, I mean, I don't know about a barber, like a hairstylist.
Hmm.
I will say that, like, when I got back, like, because when you first land at night after being voted out, you eat, but it's probably like 1 or 2 in the morning. So you eat and then you sit at this long table, at least for me. But then the next morning, anyway, the next morning you wake up, and then on my, because I had to go back to back. Essentially, it was like, you now shoot for the final four, whatever. But they were like, you have certain amount of time. The one thing they did give me was they offered me a free massage, and I said yes, ma'am. So there was like a menu of services, because then once your free one was up, then there was like, you could purchase and like spend money yourself on other things. But my eyes just narrowed in on the massage on that menu. So I bet maybe there are people that cut hair, but maybe it could have been that person too, and they finally had access to like their own beauty supplies, or whatever.
Hmm.
um I can give you that, like, like, I don't know how to braid my hair, like I don't know how to do my own hair really, but I had someone, like, a handler. I asked them if they could braid my hair, to get ready for, I think there's like one look where I had the braids, and
Hmm.
so they did my hair while we were waiting in the tents to then like head out to jury. But that was it. Everyone else just kind of like gets ready on their own. But who
Okay.
knows? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know, entertaining that question of mine, because I always wonder, like, what would it be like, if I gotta go out there, cut my own hair or anything like that. Um, uh,
Yeah. I'm trying
as
to think.
we, yeah, I'm just thinking about like last thoughts about the episode before headed to the Torchy Awards, where we give an award to a player. I again just speaking on Mary, I would have did the same thing with throwing out Joe's name. Joe, from what we saw, like scrambling a little bit,
Yes.
and essentially it seemed like we might be seeing the quote unquote downfall of the character of Joe,
Mhm.
where he throws out Shaheen's name potentially, and I feel like Shaheen would definitely moving forward in the season, it seems like Shaheen would be more ready to flip the switch on Joe because of this
Mhm.
little moment that we saw. Yeah. Any last thoughts before heading into handing out an award to a player?
Oof. Um, hmm. I'd say I no, I don't. I think that the person that I'm choosing, the explanation would then support what I'm about to say
Okay.
anyway. So yeah, I think we can go straight to the award if you want.
All right, let's go. So, boom, here we are. It's the Torchy Awards, where every episode we give out an award to a player of our choice for whatever reason it is. It could be because you think they played a great strategic game from what we're able to see. If you think they're just someone that you are vibing with or like, or whatever reason under the sun, you could vote for them and give them your Torchy Award because they follow proper coconut etiquette. So, I want to open it up with asking you, Karla, who would you say is the recipient of your Torture Award? You can feel free to nominate two people first before picking the ultimate winner, but you can always just go straight forward. Choice is yours.
Hmm. I think I'm gonna go straightforward because I think this episode was very straightforward. Um, I think my torch award winner, torch, right? Yes,
Torchy, yeah, yeah.
Torchy, sorry.
No, there you
Um, is Mary because this entire episode she is trying to save her life,
go.
and
Yeah.
she's like, "Listen, keep me as a number." So like, she threw a name out there. The name made sense. She finished those coconuts. She said, um, I'm gonna be not forgotten. I'm gonna leave it lasting impact. So hopefully people are kind of like hungry next episode. I hope there's like a reference back to coconuts and being like, I wish we had some coconuts. Um, so for that, for throwing Joe's name out, for eating the coconuts, um, and for just not giving up. Because sometimes when you are at the bottom and when you know you're going home, you can sit down and wait, knowing that your fate is sealed, or you can start trouble and try to get people paranoid and try people, you know. And so for those reasons, um, I'm awarding Mary with the award because she never gave up till the end.
Yeah. I agree. Mary was actually my pick. For me, it was between Mary and Camilla. And I feel like I went with Mary because she's someone who did something that other people were seemingly not willing to do at this moment. And she tried different avenues. She tried to pitch it to Kyle. She tried to go to Camilla. Of course, like in this moment, she's not aware that they have the ability to flip, but they just are maybe thinking for their game that they're gonna want to stay one more round
Mhm.
under Joe's great graces, but she didn't give up. Like you said, she tried so many different things. And when she felt like my time is up, she was like, y'all gonna feel me though. Y'all is gonna feel me.
Mhm.
And she smashed that coconut. So I definitely give it to Mary too. So shout out to Mary.
Shout out to Mary.
Yes. Overall, though, just to talk a little bit about Mary's game from what we saw, to me, she was just like a survivalist. Like she survived where she was always like in a precarious spot, whether it be
Mhm.
her having to play her shot in the dark, whether it be having to find a connection on a swap tribe where she was the only Vula. Luckily, they won immunity, but she found a connection with David. And even when it came to merge, getting in with David more and surviving those rounds that she did survive and being able to kind of sneak into this quote unquote strong person alliance. So I really respected her game. And again, from what we're seeing, I really think she did it to the best that she could.
Yeah, it must be difficult to constantly have to survive, especially
Mhm.
since kind of like day one. Her tribe, her starting tribe was just had really bad luck and just constantly being at the bottom. So I don't know what it's like to be, since the kind of like the beginning to just constantly have to fight and then just do whatever you can to survive and not really ever be granted the autonomy to think so much forward in the game when you're really just trying to scrap by. So, I mean, kudos to her. It must be so taxing to just think about how can I make it one more day instead of like, I have a solid four, I can make it to the end. Let me just think about the end, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Karla, um, I'm not gonna hold you too long, but I know I had thoughts on this strong personalized and what that means for how we view strength, especially
Mhm.
because like seeing you play and win immunity, like as a viewer, I'm like, okay, like systemically and as a pattern, we see certain people get voted out early, like
Mhm.
consistently, and people of different body types be viewed as not strong or weak. And so going into this season, seeing this strong person alive, I'm just like, but I'm gonna take off my thinking cap because again, I don't want to hold you for too long.
Mhm.
But I did just want to ask any final thoughts about the season, about this episode that you want to share as we maybe head out.
Hmm. Final thoughts. Let me see. Um, okay, this is just me being like honestly speaking as Karla. I think that I think that people need to give a little bit more grace
Mhm.
um to the season because we don't know the intricacies of what is going on out there. We don't know the conversations that people have had. And so, like, while we see something that we may not like, or we're like, this is, it's not the way that I wanted this game to play out. Like, you don't know the society that was created out there and why, like, for people's like strategies just going the way that moving the way that they're moving now made perfect sense, and they're probably like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. It's hard to see it outside of that point of view when you're in the game. So I know that some people are frustrated, but ultimately, one, it's not up to us how we edit this game, right? It could have played out completely different, and we just don't know, like, some of the confessionals that were anyway. So yes, just give more grace to people because we're all human and we all go out there. There's a lot that people like just give up to do and to entertain. It's really just it's a business, and it's not a business for us, and we don't profit off of this. Um, yeah, so just show more love. And it's tough. It's tough being on the receiving end of so much critique. Um, yes, and this is me honestly, just
Yeah,
like
no,
it
yeah,
sucks.
clock it. Yeah,
Yeah, because
and
also it's like
mm,
if you hoes really went out and played, would you have done shit different? Because I
mm,
don't think so. Because that's why you're not on the island. But go
mm.
ahead and type away.
We don't know if some folks might get a call back, but I don't know, I don't know. So yeah, and again, as you said, definitely more grace. We're people at the end of the day. It's 90 minutes per week of like over 48 hours of
Yeah.
gameplay. Like we are only gonna see so much. And again, we might not even get to see what people are thinking, feeling, what's going on in their head. And so on the surface, it is so much easier for us to attack, or comment
Mhm.
versus actually, if you are even given the chance to walk in the shoes of what it would be like to be a player. I know I
Mhm.
might joke and be like, okay, Mitch, let's make a move. But like, I do understand deeply, like we are people at the end of the day. So again, shout
Yeah.
out to the whole cast and like anybody who's ever been out there or just reality TV in general, but that's a different thing. But like, yeah, it is something that should be said more. So I really appreciate you
Mhm.
reminding us of that.
And I'll say this, it's because, like, all right, I put myself in their shoes a lot because I think that there were times when I was out there and I was like, oh, I'm eating. I am, I have this alliance with these people, and you know what? Like, I feel very confident and we're gonna go that far. But that's like my own perception of this game. I'm sorry if you could hear my dogs. Um, but I did not know everything else that was happening. And I did not know that, like, some people were making moves a little differently than I was. And I don't know if I was on a different podcast saying this or if I was just talking to other players, but I was like, it feels like you're just on this high while you're out there because it's your own POV. You only know your POV. And the moment you compare your POV with other people's, when you see it on TV, then you kind of are humbled and your ass is there watching like, I was not eating at all whatsoever. I was not making the moves that I thought I was moving. And so I think that, I thought I was doing, but I think that that's where I'm like, we need to just be kind. Be kind.
Like Julie Chen, be kind to one another. um, but yes, well, shout out to everybody for listening. This has been a Purple Pants Podcast Powered Production. Try to say that 8 times fast. It's been Tim.
And Karla.
It's been Split the Vote. Peace.